उड़ाए जा, खुशी के गीत गाए जा, ये जिंदगी है कौम की, तू कौम पर लुटाए जा. This song actually personifies the life of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, where it says, तू शेर हिंद आगे बढ़, बने से फिर भी तू ना डर, उड़ा के दुश्मनों का सर, जोशे वतन बढ़ाए जा. That's exactly what Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose did. He inspired the nation to rise against the British, to fight for freedom and then take freedom. His legacy is perhaps finally being recognized by a billion-strong nation. This should have happened decades and decades ago. Perhaps it didn't. But when it happens, it's also led to a war, a legacy war between the Trinamool Congress and the Bharatiya Janata Party over Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. And this is happening just ahead of elections in Bengal. The government is celebrating the 125th birth anniversary. The national government as Parakram Diwas, the Bengal government as Desh Nayak Diwas. I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Paulami Saha. Paulami, the Prime Minister has reached Victoria Memorial, and this is where the celebrations truly begin as far as the Parakram Diwas are concerned, Paulami.
Yes, Gaurav, the Prime Minister has reached Netaji Bhavan right now, his first stop in Kolkata. This is the residence, the old residence of Subhash Chandra Bose. He lived here since 1909 when his father, in fact, built this residence. He lived here till 1941, the year that he escaped from here with the help of his uncle Shishir Kumar Bose. In a car, he was taken from here to Gomo railway station, which is in Dhanbad district of Jharkhand, which has now been renamed the Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose railway station. From there, he escaped and fled from India. He was under British surveillance over here. The Prime Minister has arrived over here right now. He will be spending about 15 minutes over here as per his which has been shared with us. He will spend time looking around the residence, which has been turned into a museum, a research center. It has archives, there's a library. He will be shown around here by Shugata Bose, who is in fact grand-nephew of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, and he is in fact running the maintains Netaji Bhavan on Elgin Road in Kolkata. The Prime Minister was received by Chandra Bose, another grandnephew of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, Kailash Vijayvargiya, who is the BJP's Bengal in charge, Shopun Das Gupta, Member of Parliament from the Bharatiya Janata Party in the Rajya Sabha. They were here to receive Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He has gone inside Netaji Bhavan. Right now, he will be looking around. There are several interesting pieces from Netaji's life and time inside the Netaji Research Bureau or Netaji Bhavan. It also has the vehicle, the Wanderer car, which in fact was used by Shishir Kumar Bose to drive away Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose on the night of 16th and 17th of January 1941. From here to Gomo railway station. From there on, he went on a long and arduous journey to reach Berlin in Germany. That car is over here. It has been through the financial support of the Ministry of Culture. It has been, in a way, brought back to its past glory by the...
Yes.
और उसके बाद उन्होंने उचित समय देखकर 16 जनवरी 1941 को उन्होंने
We are having some audio issues with Paulami's connection, perhaps because of jammers that are there, because the Prime Minister is there. But look at these images. You have the grandnephews of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose who are showing the Prime Minister around, and this place is truly a site of pilgrimage. Young Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, he came from a very affluent family. He studied hard. He was a topper. He was a topper all through his life. He went and took the civil services examinations and he came fourth in order of merit. But he did not serve the British Empire. When the Jallianwala Bagh massacre happened, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was deeply moved. He went to Mahatma Gandhi and Monojit Mandal. That is where, even as a youngster, let me take our viewers back to this house, Monojit Mandal, When he stayed here as a child, he asked his mother, how long will Mother India remain a slave of the British? So he was a Desh Nayak truly, even as a child, a visionary leader.
Let me share one very interesting, story about Subhash Chandra Bose attending the Presidency College, and he could not stay there because he was, certainly not, he was showing dissent against one of the teachers, Oten Sahib, and later on he was rusticated from that college and went on to study in another college, which was the Scottish Church College. So I mean, he was very much from the very beginning of his, life. He was a true patriot. But there are many issues which we don't read, we don't know, because as I told you earlier, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was deliberately stamped out of India's narrative of history. It is time that we revisit that particular legacy, that rich legacy, how he made India what it is today. And look at Gaurav, the kind of life he lived. Every time he was fighting the British from outside the country.
Yes.
For four known years of his life, from 1941 to 45, he was fighting these forces from outside the country. These, perhaps the undisputably supreme, imperial power, the Britishers. He was fighting from outside the country. Look at the kind of, real parakram that he had. At the same time, I believe he should also be called the Desh Nayak.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
He was. He truly was Desh Nayak. He truly was Parakrami. I can hear you loud and clear. And the more students of history, or actually people in general, read about Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, the more they realize that even as a child, here was a man who was struggling for India's independence. And he sought the blessings of Mahatma Gandhi. He, of course, went initially to Deshbandhu. He went to Deshbandhu Chitranjan Das, and Deshbandhu Chitranjan Das guided him, molded him. That's the way he was molded into this entire movement to arise, to awaken the people of India to fight for independence. He, of course, chose the path of armed struggle, formed an army, and he truly was a realist in this matter. He realized India needed a strong standing army to be able to defeat the British, Professor Monojit Mandal.
True. I mean, not just here, he was tremendously influenced by Tagore himself. Remember, Gaurav, besides the fact that he was a parakram, he was a veer, he was also a tremendous composer. The songs that you were playing were actually composed and sung by this person himself. Look at the kind of lyrics that he could produce. I mean, these songs if sung today will give you goosebumps. I mean, they're so inspiring. And this person, this highly talented man, he was composing all these songs. The tunes are also given by him. He was tremendously influenced by Tagore and has a tremendous respect for Tagore as well. And remember one very interesting thing, Gaurav, when Gandhi and Nehru were sort of driving him out of the Congress party, Tagore stood by him. Tagore wrote in favor of Subhash Chandra Bose, saying that injustice being committed by Gandhi and Nehru against Subhash Chandra Bose. I think Tagore, I'm telling you that my research on Tagore says that the first Indian national movement, which is known as the anti-partition movement in the first half of the 20th century, was led by none other than Rabindranath Tagore himself. This is being said by not Monojit Mandal, but a very famous historian in the name of Sumit Sarkar. In his book, Swadeshi Movement in Bengal, he is categorically saying, Tagore, not a conventional politician, he was actually leading the anti-partition movement in Bengal.
Yes, back to these images. Tanushri Pandey and General Sanjay Kulkarni also joined me on the broadcast. And Tanushri, there may be a lot of arguments and a political legacy war, but even Professor Monojit Mandal says that the fact that Prime Minister Narendra Modi leads the nation in paying tributes to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose on his 125th birth anniversary, visits his house on Elgin Road, the entire nation suddenly is once again reading about Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, and his valor, his contribution to the freedom struggle comes to the fore.
Absolutely, Gaurav, and you know, it's undoubtedly the way Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the way its center, the Bharatiya Janata Party government is celebrating, is observing today's day, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's birth anniversary, 125th, as Parakram Diwas. It's an absolute fact that today the entire country, not just the state of West Bengal, are recognizing Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose as one of the biggest leaders this country has ever, produced. In fact, it's because of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the centre, and also on the other hand, Trinamool Congress and Mamata Banerjee, that today the only, fact is, Gaurav, that what we are continuously questioning, that why, the two leaders could not celebrate the date together maybe, but yes, both the leaders could do their bit, whatever they, do.
They will be together in the evening, but Tanushri, just stay with me. I have Paulami Saha back with me on the broadcast. Just stay with me for a moment. Yes. Okay, just stay with me for one moment as I bring in Paulami Saha once again. Paulami, you were in this room as we see these spectacular images that are coming in and the pictures that are there. Describe these images for our viewers, Paulami.
पे एक लंबा वक्त
Try and patch again. Patch.
Okay, perhaps because of jammers, we seem to have lost Paulami Saha once again. But these are images of the life and times of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose in his house. The fact that Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose constantly was struggling not only to get India to be independent, but also to be a powerful nation. And General Sanjay Kulkarni, Professor Monojit Mandal and I were just talking about Kadam Kadam Badhaye Ja, Khushi ke geet gaye ja, ye zindagi hai qaum ki, tu qaum pe lutaye ja. This is now the Indian Army song. The Azad Hind song is the Indian Army song, sir. What does this song do to you? What does this song bring out in you, General Kulkarni?
Jai Hind, Gaurav, and that's the greeting we take it from him, his Azad Hind force. Everybody till date in the armed forces greet each other saying Jai Hind. And similarly, when a tune like Kadam Kadam Badhaye Ja is played, it's absolutely, hair-raising. It's so motivating. It is absolutely something that can inspire, motivate, and can make anybody and everybody give their lives for the nation. That's the kind of nationalism, the spirit, the patriotism this particular song can create. A regimental song. It's parachute regiment. The regiment that has special forces. The absolute song, Kadam Kadam Badhaye Ja. Anytime, I'm sure, every child in India, when on the Republic Day, when they hear to this song, the bands playing of the army, everybody just starts humming this song. Everybody knows it. You sang this song. I think everybody of us seems to get inspired, motivated. Similarly, with Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, imagine his love for the nation, his love, even whatever be the political legacy that he may have left. Look at the names of the regiments that he gave. Gandhi, Nehru, Maulana Azad, and himself, Rani Lakshmibai. The entire thing. This is the kind of love for the country.
Stay with me for a moment. You very rightly pointed out, absolutely, his undisputed, unquestioned love for Mother India, for Ma Bharati, and his slogan, Chalo Delhi, his slogan, Jai Hind. Paulami, you're looking at those images that the Prime Minister is looking at Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's residence. For the benefit of our viewers, describe these pictures and the house. His uniform is still there.
Right now, Gaurav, is something very interesting. The Prime Minister has stepped out on the road, went down to the crowd who've been chanting Jai Shri Ram, Modi, Modi. He has, of course, finished his tour of Netaji Bhavan. He was given a tour by Chandra Bose, who is, in fact, the grandnephew of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. He finished that tour. He's waved to the crowd before getting into the car. He's come out. He's acknowledged the crowds that have gathered.
Acknowledge the crowds that have gathered over here, BJP supporters.
Acknowledge them, and now, Gaurav, he is in fact heading for his next stop, which is the National Library, where he will be in fact attending an international conference on Netaji. He will be delivering the valedictory address over there, and he will be serving the
Kolkata. Visit
Okay.
to Subhash Chandra Bose's ancestral home. In the visuals, you can see.
Give me a moment. The Prime Minister's cavalcade would be leaving in just a short while from now, from this location, and perhaps that's the reason that jammers are active once again, given the security situation, which also is big. Again, the aim of this entire exercise, Tanushri, not only to honor the valor and sacrifice of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, but also once again bring it out in the minds and the memory of generation next. And that is why, Tanushri, you have a lot of debate competitions and declamation competitions that are being organized in schools, not just in Bengal, but across the country.
Absolutely, Gaurav. The centre government made sure that the entire country, not just the state of West Bengal, celebrates the birth anniversary, the 125th birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. It was Prime Minister and his vision that the generation next, as you have been rightly mentioning, and the entire country should know each and every fact about Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, about his work, about Azad Hind Fauj, about their uniform. So that's why the centre government decided that today Parakram Diwas will be celebrated not just in the state of West Bengal and in Kolkata, but across the country. And that's why, as you rightly said, Gaurav, kids starting from the lower classes of school to colleges, many events were basically organized for the school kids and for the college kids. And due to the COVID situation on the ground, many online things were also organized on the works of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Painting competitions were organized all across the country today, where many kids came and they were given the topic to draw something, anything related to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. So definitely it's a great idea of the government to be, incite a very good feeling of love and warmth for Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, one of the biggest leaders our country ever saw. And that's why the Prime Minister is also going to come here in a short while from now, Gaurav, which is the National Library of India, comes under the Government of India Cultural Ministry. It's located at Alipur in Kolkata. It's the largest library in the entire country, and here the Prime Minister will come. This library has a permanent exhibition of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's work, about the artifacts of Azad Hind Fauj, many rare picture of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Prime Minister is going to come here in a short while from now. He has left from Netaji Bhavan, is what we have been told. So he's going to take 10 to 15 minutes to reach here. Then he will be meeting the artist, Gaurav, and would be felicitating the artists who have made the tableau on Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Then he will be delivering, the Prime Minister will be delivering a valedictory speech in an international conference on Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. So the Prime Minister and the Bharatiya Janata Party government are doing all they can to make sure that the country, the next generation knows about Subhash Chandra Bose. Yes, Gaurav, back to you.
Absolutely. The next generation must know about Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and his contribution towards India's independence struggle. Professor Monojit Mondal, this is exactly what you wanted, what you were talking about, that schools and colleges should be talking about Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. That is exactly what is happening, but at a different level. Revisiting the legacy of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. There is an international conference on that will happen as we look at the Prime Minister's cavalcade. Professor Mondal, the Prime Minister is about to leave Elgin Road in a moment from now. There we see the Prime Minister in his vehicle leaving Netaji's residence at Elgin Road. And we have my colleague Chitra Tripathi reporting for Aaj Tak there. This is exactly what you wanted, Professor Monojit Mondal. Netaji's legacy to be recognized.
It's not just revisiting the history, Gaurav. We need to rewrite that history. History must be rewritten. I mean, one very famous modern poet calls in the beginning of the 20th century that history is full of contrived corridors and cunning passages. Look at how fitting that was, the description of history as full of cunning corridors. And one such cunning corridor would be to somehow completely erase this narrative of this great man. We need to bring them back. We need to include Netaji in the school books, and who else but the NCERT and the central government should do it? I mean, the government of India, definitely they are celebrating Netaji's legacy, everything is all right, but they must also go out of their way to include Netaji in the school books and also in the college books, college textbooks. We need to canonize this man. Just going to, celebrating this man for 1, 2, or maybe throughout the year will not serve unless and until we know what kind of a man he was, what kind of a the valor he could show in fighting for his country, for his motherland. We must know this man. I mean, he is so much neglected. Of course, he is being,
his valor that you speak about.
Absolutely. I mean, there are controversies about him,
Yes,
that he perhaps,
Parakram, the valor, the realist, the visionary. Yes, we'll talk about that in greater detail. Stay with me, Professor Monojit Mandal, General Kulkarni, Polami, and Tanushri. More guests will join us from Bengal and from the national capital as we talk about Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's contribution. It hasn't been recognized enough. There is a lot that Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose did for India to get India independence, the sacrifice that he made, the Azad Hind Fauj, the prisoners of war that he got together, trained them, got them armed. People contributed so much to ensure that we are able to fight back and win back our independence. We'll also tell you what then British Prime Minister, of course when he was former British Prime Minister, Clement Attlee, what did he say about Netaji's contribution to India's independence struggle? All of that and much more coming up on the other side of a quick break. Stay with us and Jai Hind. Jai Hind and welcome back to India Today's continuing coverage on Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's 125th birth anniversary. The Prime Minister at this point of time is at the National Library in Kolkata. He's also meeting artists who've put together paintings on the life of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and how Netaji influenced lives of people across our country. This is Prime Minister Narendra Modi paying his respects, his tributes to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, one of India's greatest sons. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was very inspired by Swami Vivekananda. At the Victoria Memorial, the Prime Minister looking at various paintings that artists have put together. Way ahead of his times, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Women have been accepted in combat in the Indian Army now, in the Corps of Military Police, or as fighter pilots in the Indian Air Force now. But Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose had done this in the 1940s. In 1943, you had the Rani Lakshmibai Regiment, an all-women regiment of the Azad Hind Fauj of the Indian National Army. Captain Lakshmi Sehgal was one of the officers of the Azad Hind Fauj of the Rani Lakshmibai Regiment. And the Prime Minister is looking at those images. Let's for a moment dip in and try and listen in. I want to cut across to India Today's Tanushri Pandey. Tanushri, you've looked at these images that show us various facets of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's life. Bring us more details, Tanushri.
Absolutely, Gaurav. In fact, as you rightly said, that what the Indian Army started doing of late, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose has been doing that since forever. And in fact, he was the one who made an all-women regiment in his team, in his army, which was named after Rani Jhansi Bai. And there are in the National Library, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi just entered with his cavalcade. He's now looking at the paintings which features the works related to done by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, the artifacts, the very rare pictures of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose meeting the all-women regiment of his. And he was one person who not just had an unwavering love for the country, and but he also was a person who broke stereotypes, who never never believed in any kind of taboos, and he was someone who believed in equality. And that is something, Gaurav, which we can tell by, looking at the paintings which we saw inside the National Library of India, where the Prime Minister is right now looking at the paintings, which basically features, which shows the Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, his meetings with, his soldiers at Azad, in Azad Hind Fauj, and the artists who have made these paintings will be felicitated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi today as a part of an event of Parakram Diwas. Now, after that, he is also to deliver a valedictory speech in an international conference which will be held inside the National Library. And the conference will be on Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and how he inspired the entire country, and how he is one of the reasons why the country saw independence. So it's a very big day for the country, not just for the country, but especially for the city of Kolkata and for the state of West Bengal. Here, people, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose is a big inspiration, is one of the biggest idols, of this state, and not just this state, but for the entire country. But today, these kind of events taking place in the center, in the heart of Kolkata, is a big deal for the citizens of Kolkata as well. Prime Minister coming here, Gaurav, we were just a short while back, we were witnessing the kind of crowd outside the National Library. They had to be actually taken, the security here present outside the National Library actually had to request the crowd to move back due to security reasons. So yes, and there was a lot of chanting of Jai Shri Ram and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So definitely this is really beneficial for Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the BJP government as well, because this kind of recognition and love given to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose on his 125th birth anniversary is something the people of Kolkata, the people of West Bengal really wanted. And right now, PM is doing exactly that. Prime Minister is doing all he can to make sure that the next generation, the entire country, the youngsters, recognize what Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose stood for and what kind of a leader he was. And he's right now inside the National Library. He's looking at the paintings which features. He's looking at the tableau which features the work of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. He'll come out in some time, in half an hour from now, and then from here he'll be going to Victoria Memorial, is what we have been told. Gaurav, back to you.
Okay, and Netaji's letters, they are so inspiring. Letters where he talks about the struggle for independence, the need for independence. The fact, General Kulkarni, if I may, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was a realist. He knew writing petitions to the British, to the Queen or the King would not get India independence. He knew you would not go down on a knee, on a bent knee to get independence. You had to show strength, and he inspired the nation. His radio address on Radio Berlin inspired Indians virtually across the world to stand up and contribute for that freedom struggle, including armed struggle for independence.
Gaurav, I must tell you two things. First, you must, at least to the next generation, they must see his handwriting. What a handwriting! What a handwriting! A man, his clarity, vision can be seen from the kind of handwriting this Netaji had. Fantastic. The second thing I must tell you, I spent about a year in Japan, and there was not a single gathering, whether it was formal or informal. Whenever and wherever I went with this gala band, there would first thing, only two names that always came to their mind. They would ask me, do you know Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose? Do you know Justice Paul? That is the kind, wherever I went. It isn't that it was only military gathering or something. Any civilian gathering, anywhere in Japan, the kind of respect, the kind of love, the kind of affection, the kind of, he was a great man for the Japanese, even till date. This look up to this man. And and when you came back in our own country, everybody knows. It isn't that people don't know him. But yes, the recognition that was deserved of a person was really outstanding. Absolutely inspirational figure. There's a need, there's a requirement. I go along with the professor when he says that in every textbook in schools and colleges, people not only of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, all those who have contributed toward the greatness of this country must be told to our children. Otherwise, it will all be lost. Right now we find that the government of India is taking a lead, and therefore you find millions of people joining in to actually accept and recognize, yes, there was a person like Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Even Prime Minister Attlee at that point of time had stated that, yes, whatever be it so, this propaganda value, this kind of nationalism, this kind of feeling, they started feeling uneasy in India. It was only because of the Azad Hind War. It was only because of the Netaji's mobilization of the people in the country. They felt uneasy. They felt it was now time to quit India and leave India, and the talk of independence and everything started around us that time. So you find that there's tremendous impact the Netaji has left on this country, and all of it must be recognized. All of it must be known. All of it
And
must be
these are
preserved,
images.
and each one of us must take pride in it.
This is the Prime Minister at the National Library. This is the Prime Minister. Look at these images. The Prime Minister, his aim is to ensure that the legacy of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose is appreciated by the next generation of our country. The Prime Minister now witnessing an exhibition. Let's try and listen in.
यहाँ पर बुद्धिजीवियों से प्रधानमंत्री मुलाकात कर रहे हैं और ये सारे बुद्धिजीवी जो वर्कशॉप चल रहा है उसमें शामिल हुए हैं और इसके साथ साथ अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर के भी यहाँ पर बुद्धिजीवी आए हैं। विशाल,
well, Avi, taking cue from what you said that he wanted to join the Indian Army, he did not even join the army, but he also fought for the nation and also commanded. He was the supreme leader of the Indian National Army. And there you see the Prime Minister entering the Belvedere House. This has been the location and point of many historical meetings. There you see the Prime Minister coming out. Today is also an international hybrid conference which is being held virtually, and speakers from half a dozen countries are participating, and the subject is revisiting the legacy of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Prime Minister coming out accompanied by Governor of Bengal, and there you see the walk of the Prime Minister, quite poised, and he is so contented because
so this is the Prime Minister at the National Library. This conference is going to be extremely interesting. This conference revisiting the legacy of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose in the 21st century. I want to bring in senior journalist Shubhajit Bagchi, who joins me on the broadcast. And Shubhajit, at one level, people may talk about electoral politics. They may talk about both the BJP and the Trinamool Congress trying to appropriate the legacy of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. But at a different level, this is Generation Next of India, perhaps for the first time, hearing and learning about the contributions Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose made to India's independence struggle, and perhaps one of the real architects of India's independence struggle finally getting his due. Shubhajit.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, this is good that there is so much talk about Netaji. I mean, it is just not Netaji, but other important personalities kind of getting studied more and more in Bengal. So that we can see now. So this is definitely very important. Day, I would say that way. That is one side of the story. The other side of the story, of course, is I would say also is the first battle of a very long-drawn political war that we are going to see. It has been marked today. I mean, whatever is happening in Calcutta, I have already posted on social media that this is perhaps the first battle of a very long-drawn war that we are going to see, a political battle. So it has both sides.
Prime Minister greeting everybody, saying good.
Very interesting, sir. Bring us, more details, sir, on this big war that you talk about. This is not just a legacy war. Are you hinting towards now more of an ideological war that we are witnessing in West Bengal, sir?
But also many important books and records.
Yeah, of course. The BJP here, and we have to now name the parties, BJP and Trinamool Congress. BJP, to start with BJP, I mean, it has a problem with Netaji in the sense that, on one side, it helps BJP. Netaji helps BJP because he was against the Congress. He floated his party going against the Congress. So that is the side of Netaji that BJP wants to celebrate. I mean, their leaders, particularly those who are aligned with RSS, often discusses this. But his other side is something they also have to deal with it. And the other side is Netaji was always, and in fact, in your channel a few days back, I was saying this, that, he had this whole idea of India, which is a very pluralistic India. And that is why he formed this Indian National Party, Indian National Army, which fought the British. It was a small symbolic army. But what is important is there were people from all caste, creed, religion, and even gender in that party. Now, this is where BJP has the conflict with Trinamool Congress. Trinamool Congress is bringing this part in. And if you have followed, I'm sure you have followed, whatever has happened in Calcutta today. I mean, in the morning, there was a speech by Sugato Bose, who is the grandnephew of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. And he exactly said what I'm saying now, that pluralism, and in fact, it was a speech on Abid Hassan. Abid Hassan was one of the most important co-associate of Netaji. In fact, the Jai Hind slogan, if I'm not very wrong, was coined by him. So it was a speech on Abid Hassan, and there Mr. Bose has categorically said the role of Netaji, the role of pluralism in Indian politics, and in fact something which, in fact, my friends aligned with the RSS only told me that Netaji kept on talking about the Bengali Muslims, how to uplift them, to bring them in the main fold, something on which Ambedkar also has written. So this is something they have to deal with. On the other side, of course, he was a staunch opposition to the Gandhi, as I said, which something helps BJP. So this is a confusing situation for the BJP. On the other side, Trinamool Congress, of course, has been claiming Netaji as something they are part of. I mean, Mamata Banerjee has been always telling, even when he was in Congress, he has been talking, because, she knew that she has to do politics in Bengal. She has to always talk about Tagore. She has to talk about Netaji and all. She has been doing that part of our larger politics. And also at one point, if you remember, Communist Party was a little averse to Netaji, but later they got All India, this All India Forward Bloc founded by Netaji, if I'm not wrong, 1942. And and Forward Bloc and Mamata Banerjee had this similar conflict, which we have seen 20, 25 years back when Mamata Banerjee was coming to power.
Absolutely right, sir.
Now we see the same legacy.
The moment he was marginalized and sidelined in the Congress party, yes, sir, give me a moment. I want to cut across to India Today's Indrajit Kundu, but you're absolutely right. The moment he was marginalized and sidelined in the Congress party, despite having won elections, despite Gandhiji saying that in case, Patabi Sitaramaya loses, it is Gandhiji's defeat, Netaji won, and that showed how popular he was amongst the leaders of the Congress party. Well, that's the time he was marginalized in the Congress, and he subsequently formed the Forward Bloc. But I want to bring in Indrajit Kundu. And Indrajit, Prime Minister trying to revive the legacy of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, more than just perhaps marginalization by the Congress party, by Mahatma Gandhi and others at that point of time. It's more about his role in India's independence struggle and establishing the need to establish a strong nation with an army, with an intelligence network, with women having equal role, having its own mint. All of that is something that the nation perhaps doesn't know in great detail, and that's what the government is trying to highlight.
Well, that's right, and it's very, very crucial. It's significant. In a sense, Netaji must get his due. That is the sentiment as far as West Bengal is concerned, because for long, people in Bengal have always that has been a popular sentiment, that Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose hasn't really got his due. And as far as his legacy in the Indian freedom struggle is concerned, Netaji is beyond, everything as far as West Bengal is concerned. He is a very, very emotive issue. As I've been saying all through this morning when we were moving across that rally that Mamata Banerjee was leading, and even though there is a lot of political messaging from all these that is happening, But the Netaji family continues to maintain, all the family members of the Bose family, that Netaji is beyond politics. He might have been a political leader in his, at his time, at his age, but he is beyond politics now. He is Desh Nayak, he is an icon. And therefore, cutting across political ideologies, one must pay their homage and tribute to Netaji. And of course, as it is being cited, the fact that because of West Bengal elections and the fact that it is 125th birth anniversary of Netaji, it has coincided with the elections. Suddenly we see all political parties going out of their way to paying their tribute to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, which is great because people of India must remember Netaji, and as we have been stating, not just his name, but also the kind of things that he has done in his lifetime, having a women regiment in his army, forming the Indian National Army for that matter, and of course issues like having a planning commission, as you said, having its own mint, its own government, the Azad Hind government. So all these things are way ahead of their time, and in a sense many historians believe that the British finally quit India because of the kind of armed resistance that Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, offered the British. That became a trigger that acted as a catalyst for the British to somehow, pack their bags and leave India. So this is something that needs to be highlighted, that needs to be, taught at the
very
school
important
level.
point you
and
raised
that
there,
has
Indrajit.
always been a demand from West Bengal.
Yes. You know, when some try to say India is a soft power, India is not a soft power. India is a hard power, and this hard power is what Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose advocated all his life. That is one reason why every Indian must read about Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Let me also bring into this conversation Lieutenant General Gurmeet Singh. He joins us on the broadcast, and we will have the biggest panel of experts and reporters on ground to get you the true picture of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's legacy. So for us, it's not about what the Trinamool Congress may believe or what the BJP may believe. This is about what India must know about one of India's biggest freedom fighters. And General Gurmeet Singh, the British did not give us independence because of Quit India movement. The British did not give us independence because we were writing petitions for independence. We got independence because we fought for it, we bled for it, and we killed for it.
Absolutely, Gaurav, I think you are dot on. If we got independence, it is because of the sacrifice. It is because of the leaders like Subhash Chandra Bose. He was the one who followed the muscular approach, the military approach. In fact, out of the 60,000 of the INA soldiers, 24,000 gave the supreme sacrifice. That is the level of the sacrifice which went for the India to get independence. In fact, I'm very happy that today is a great day, and there is a revival, there is a restoration to the glory to the legacy of Subhash Chandra Bose. And the beauty is that he's the one who initiated this Jai Hind. He's the one who created this Azad Hind Fauj. He's the one who had created a provincial government in 21st October 1943. He, to me, is a great strategist. He had a great vision, and he was a realistic and a practical man. In fact, I would say, when I look at him, he was a military leader, he was a national leader, he's a national icon. He's
General, stay with me for a moment. General, stay with me for a moment. This is Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Live images that are coming in from the Victoria Memorial in Kolkata, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi has just arrived, and this is where the Prime Minister would also be witnessing a cultural event. The Prime Minister is trying to revive the legacy of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Let's listen in.
Greeting everyone who is going to be part of this wonderful celebration, which commemorates the beginning of 125 years of remembering Subhash Chandra Bose's contribution to the Indian freedom struggle. And here the Prime Minister is entering the exhibition hall. Subhash Chandra
Pride in India's culture. Take pride in India's history. This is what Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose talked about, and throughout, when you listen to his radio address, he was on Radio Berlin, and his radio address was heard by overseas Indians, perhaps across the globe, which inspired a lot of people. Let's for a moment dip in, listen into Prime Minister. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose always talked about looking at the world from India's lens. That is extremely important. Do not look at the world from the British lens, from the lens of outsiders.
नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस, जिन्होंने कहा था कि मेरे पास एक लक्ष्य है और वो लक्ष्य है भारत की आजादी. उन्होंने कहा मेरे
Chandra Bose, a cultural program that is to be held. This is after, of course, visiting the National Library, where he was at a conference on revisiting the legacy of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose in the 21st century. And of course, you also saw images of the Prime Minister at the artists' camp. The Prime Minister being briefed about Netaji's life and times, being felicitated. The Governor of West Bengal flanks the Prime Minister. Parakram Diwas, to inspire youth to always strive to do better, to be inspired by the life, times and struggle of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, to infuse that patriotic fervor in the next generation of Indians.
Of the word Jai Hind. It comes from
the
Indian national
West Bengal
was made popular by Subhash Chandra Bose and has been adopted, of course.
The West Bengal Chief Minister, Mamata Banerjee flanks Prime Minister Narendra Modi on one side, the Governor on the other side.
Subhash Chandra Bose, which refers to the duty of the people of the country to
some
pay
very
for
important
freedom with blood.
Speeches of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, his writings, various events, photographs of various events that had taken place.
Give me blood and I will give you freedom.
तुम मुझे खून दो, मैं तुम्हें आजादी दूंगा. That is what Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose had said. Freedom through struggle, through armed struggle. He was very clear. Freedom is not given, freedom is taken. The Prime Minister will speak in a short while from now, and when the Prime Minister speaks at this event, I want to bring in Indrajit Kundu for more on this. Indrajit, this entire cultural event that now kicks off is to take forward Netaji's legacy to the next generation of Indians. And this goes beyond elections, because even when it was 75 years of that INA trial at the Red Fort, no elections were around the corner that time, but that too was celebrated with great pomp and show and fervor, patriotic fervor, by the government, Indrajit.
Well, absolutely. You know, it is the bounden duty of all governments, be it the state government or the central government, to pay rich tributes to, such an icon, such an iconic figure, one of the greatest sons that India has ever produced. But Gaurav, also, politics has also taken center stage, given that this is an election year, and the visuals that we are seeing on the screen are very, very important, because there was so much of speculation whether or not West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee will be attending today's program. Because remember, this is not a political program. This is a government program, the government of India paying its homage to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose in a befitting manner. And what we see right now is that Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has just reached, and she has in fact greeted Prime Minister Narendra Modi with a uttoryo. And both of them now taking a stroll inside the Victoria Memorial Museum, being shown by officials at the Victoria Memorial. Remember, the Victoria Memorial is also very crucial today because it completes 100 years. It was finished in 1921, and 2021, of course, marks the 100 years, the centenary of this magnificent structure, which is an iconic structure as far as the city of Kolkata is concerned. So nothing could have been more appropriate than the Victoria Memorial to pay tribute to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, whose exhibition is underway at the museum there. And both Prime Minister and the Chief Minister together taking a stroll and going through the museum. a little later there will be a magnificent light and sound show, a laser show, and we would also hear Prime Minister Narendra Modi deliver his speech to the people of the country and, of course, the people of Bengal. There's a lot of talk about Prime Minister's look as well, because he has been growing the beard, and there have been, speculation on social media, a lot of buzz about how he has, modeled his look possibly on Rabindranath Tagore. But today, of course, he's in a Bengali attire. He's wearing a white kurta, and at the same time, he's taking a shawl. So, Prime Minister making quite a statement through his attire, and Chief Minister, and accompanied by Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, both the leaders now finally possibly keeping their political differences aside, because Mamata Banerjee, about a few hours back, lost a scathing tirade at the central government over several issues on Netaji's birth anniversary. But now, finally, she has reached a Victoria Memorial, and both the leaders are going to be attending a magnificent program this evening, a befitting tribute to one of India's greatest sons, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, 125th birth anniversary.
British connection and attain complete independence.
Oh, absolutely. And you talk about this legacy war while Mamata Banerjee and Prime Minister Narendra Modi are together in these images. Shubhajit Bagchi, we did see Mamata Banerjee launch a frontal attack on Prime Minister or on the BJP when she said, what is Parakram? Why not Desh Nayak? Why not declare a national holiday? So that tussle between the centre and the state, TMC and the BJP, continues on appropriating Netaji's legacy, sir.
Yeah, I mean, that is bound to happen. As you know, Gaurav, you have covered, and we both have covered Bengal and other states as well. We have not seen, I'm sure if you will come here again, I'm sure you will, we have not seen this kind of temperature. Even in 2011, when the communists were going, this kind of temperature, it is going on for 6 months. In other states, such election campaigning starts a month or so before the elections. But here it has started 6-8 months before the election. So it is both sides going all out. And I'm very fond of listening to the street corner meetings, which tells you a lot about Bengal. And there you would constantly hear the small leaders of both the BJP and Trinamool constantly telling each other they will beat up each other at any point of time. Uska matlab haath tod denge, pair tod denge type of conversation. I mean, in the public meeting, they're announcing the public. So, when that kind of thing happens, I mean, forget Netaji. Today, you set up a health center in one area. One party will say it is not in my area. They are setting up the health center. So, of course, they are going to debate on one of the most important political, cultural icons of the country and of the state. So they will do it. But as this is happening now, the Prime Minister and the Chief Minister are coming together, talking to each other. These optics is important. This will come down the cadres at the grassroots, I hope, because the number of people dying every day. Particularly, I find that people on the side of the BJP, which is not the ruling party in the state, many of their cadres, very ordinary people dying in the villages. It is not a good sign. Of course, there are other reasons for political violence in Bengal. There's a long legacy of political violence in Bengal, another debate. But the temperature needs to calm down at some level. Today, what we have seen in the morning, and also the BJP leaders are reacting to it. And this is definitely not good. There'll be a lot of bloodshed. And on this day, people should take some kind of an oath, I guess, to say that, okay, whatever happens, we will
stay with me for a moment as I bring in Indrajit Kundu once again. Indrajit, as the Prime Minister and the Chief Minister of Bengal walk through these various rooms of the Victoria Memorial and Museum, there are several here, but this Netaji Museum, high-tech, state-of-the-art, electronic display and old pictures revived, enlarged, telling the story of Netaji's life. Bring us details, Indrajit.
Well, absolutely, Gaurav. Let's talk about a few personal anecdotes. January 23rd is always very, very special for each and everybody here in Bengal, in Kolkata, because you have n number of local clubs which is named after Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. There are cultural activities, tableaus are taken out, young children, they dress themselves in Netaji's attire. There are sit and draw competitions where you have to draw images of Netaji. I have participated in many such programs when I was a child. So fond memories of January 23rd, which has always been a state holiday. Of course, there has been a long-standing demand from the state government, from the Trinamool government, that it should also be commemorated as a national holiday, observed as a national holiday. So, you know, these things are very important. As we have been saying, it is not just important, you know, to talk about Netaji on this very day. One should educate people, the next generation,
for a moment,
about Netaji.
these are the pictures I was just talking about a moment ago. This is high-tech, state-of-the-art museum about the life and times of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, something that will appeal to Gen Next when they go to a museum. It's electronic, it lights up, images come forward, you look at some information, you want it, you press a button and it flashes on a big screen in front of you. This is what Prime Minister Narendra Modi is inaugurating at this point of time, a museum that will bring the story of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose alive through what was said at that point of time, what was said by him, what was said by others. And this perhaps is in some way, Indrajit, taking youngsters back to the times of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. You know, at his house there are pictures of where he was born, how he was brought up, where he studied, what he wrote, and those are images of where the cultural program will start, and of course the Prime Minister's address in a short while from now. But Indrajit, bring us more details of this museum.
Well, absolutely. As you said, it's a very, very high-tech museum. It's interactive. At the same time, there will be a light and sound show at Victoria as well. Laser rides, we are told. Everything that would attract youngsters. And that's very important because everything needs to be done to inculcate more interest of the younger generation, the next generation, in the life and times and the work of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. So this is going to be a really fabulous step in bringing youngsters closer to this entire process of knowing Netaji much more deeper, knowing about his magnificent life from India to Germany and Afghanistan in between, his valor, his bravery, and of course what he stood for, inclusivity and the kind of forward thinking that he had. All these things need to be inculcated. The younger generation need to be, inspired, and through means like these, through digital medium, through use of latest technology, and the museum, it's really, really high-tech. It's been in the making for some time now. We were told by sources they were supposed to be inaugurated some time back, but finally it's getting inaugurated today on a very, very auspicious occasion of 125th birth anniversary. So fabulous gift to Kolkata, to West Bengal on this occasion, and it will really attract youngsters, because remember, Victoria Memorial is one of the most popular heritage destinations. I was talking to its director a few months back. He said that it is one of the most popular, with lakhs of footfall each and every week, and with this latest attraction we can only expect more and more people.
Stay with me for a moment. I want to cut across to Manogya Loiwal.
And it says that
Netaji Bose disappeared. Okay, the Prime Minister is just about to come to the podium in a moment from now, and the Prime Minister would be speaking in a moment from now. But this is all about the legacy of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and why it's so important for the next generation to know about him. The valor. General Gurmeet Singh, before the Prime Minister starts to speak in moments from now, if I could bring you in for 30 seconds, it's very important that the struggle that India made for independence, of the 60,000 members in the Indian National Army, 24,000 made the supreme sacrifice of their lives.
Absolutely, Gaurav. I think that's a big contribution. In fact, I would say that was the reason that India got the independence. It is because of the supreme sacrifice of the soldiers. It was because of the deterrence and the military excellence which was created by Subhash Chandra Bose. And in fact, I would say he is one of the great visionaries, a great strategist and a diplomat. In fact, his diplomacy is so good that he could operate from German side, Japanese side, and this shows that he was absolutely in touch with the global affairs as far as the Indian requirement was concerned. To him, the Indian national interest was the supreme. In fact, this is what we need to study. But unfortunately, conspiracies and classification of inputs regarding him was the trend which was earlier. It has been broken today. And I think that is what's so great. And hereafter, with this type
Give me a moment, General. Let's listen into the reaction to the Prime Minister coming out on the in the lawns of the Victoria Memorial.
और प्रधानमंत्री इस वक्त जो नेताजी की सेना आजाद हिंद फौज के जो जीवित सिपाही साहसी सिपाही हमारे बीच में हैं, उनके परिवार के जो लोग हमारे बीच में हैं, उनका स्वागत करते हुए, अभिवादन करते हुए, अभिनंदन करते हुए। नेताजी ने कहा था कि मुझे नहीं मालूम कि स्वतंत्रता के युद्ध में हम में से कौन-कौन जीवित बचेंगे, परंतु मैं यह जानता हूं कि अंत में विजय हमारी ही होगी। इतना आत्मविश्वास कूट-कूट कर नेताजी में भरा था। वो जानते थे कि जिस लक्ष्य के लिए वो चल पड़े हैं, वो लक्ष्य हासिल करेंगे और भारत आजाद होगा।
Okay, the Prime Minister now sits down to watch the cultural events that will take place at the Victoria Memorial and Museum. You do notice that in COVID time, social distancing is being followed. It's election time at the same in a couple of months in Bengal, but before that, you see the BJP and the TMC, or you see the central government and the state government, the Prime Minister and the Chief Minister, they share the dais at the Victoria Memorial and Library, and the cultural events likely to be extremely interesting. Indrajit Kundu, lots planned, including a sound and light show.
Well, absolutely. There will be a laser show. One of the most popular artists from Bengal, Usha Uthup, she would be performing just a short while from now at the Victoria Memorial. You can expect that's going to be, she's going to be setting the stage on fire. There is going to be the young duo of Shomojit and Saurendra, who would also be singing. We are told that even Papon, Assamese singer, he might also be there. So it's going to be a brilliant and colorful program, apart from the light and sound show and the laser show that's scheduled. And of course, we would be hearing Prime Minister Narendra Modi deliver his speech from the lawns of Victoria Memorial. So it's going to be quite a packed program this evening on the 125th birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose.